The Adoration of the Magi has been a very popular topic in art history. It is the moment that some foreign kings visit Mary and Joseph to congratulate them on the birth of baby Jesus. The triptych from 1445 by Dirk Bouts about the Virgin Mary's life shows the sequence of events nicely. On the left, we start with the moment that the angel Gabriel announces to Mary that she will give birth to Jesus. The second scene shows the visit of Mary to her cousin Elizabeth, who is pregnant of John the Baptist. Next is the adoration of baby Jesus by the angels, and finally, the focus of this video, a visit of the Magi. As illustrated in this painting by Gérard David from 1515, artists typically depict 3 Magi or kings, although the precise number is not mentioned in the Bible. However, it is mentioned that the Magi bought 3 gifts: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And as scenes of the adoration of the Magi often are pretty crowded, there are a few tips to identify the different people in those paintings. We obviously have Mary and baby Jesus, easy to recognize and usually positioned in the center. And Mary is almost always wearing a blue garment, referring to her purity and royal status. Mary's husband Joseph is also present. He is usually depicted as an older man and more than once takes a place in the background. In David's work, you may almost miss him, but he is still present on the far left. And then of course, there are the 3 kings holding expensive presents, though it is often not easy to see who is holding the gold, frankincense and myrrh. In this work by Jan Gossard, we can clearly identify the kneeling man as a king, and he hands a goblet filled with gold coins to baby Jesus, who is already holding 1 coin in his hand. But for the 2 kings on either side of the center, it is not clear who holds the myrrh and who the frankincense. As mentioned, the Bible neither tells us the number of Magi nor their names, but there are many other traditions and legends that do elaborate on the identity of these 3 men. The only challenge is that their origins differ across these stories, leading to some confusion in the way they are portrayed. The Magi are generally known as Melchior, a scholar or king from Persia, Balthasar, a scholar or king from Babylonia, Macedonia, or somewhere in the Arab world. And then there is Caspar, usually described as coming from India. And the various sources do also not agree on which king brought which gift, which in combination with the fact that the gifts are sometimes hard to recognize in some paintings, makes it somewhat tricky to identify the Magi in different paintings. The general idea is though that the kings have come from all over the world as it was known back then. In this work from around 1485 we do actually know who Geertgen tot Sint-Jans depicted and what their presents are. King Melchior is shown kneeling before Jesus and offering his pieces of gold, which we can see in the goblet he is offering. Behind him is King Caspar, who takes his gift of frankincense from an assistant, and on the left King Balthasar, portrayed as a dark-skinned king, holds an orb of myrrh. Some of these patterns come back in other paintings. For example, in this piece by Hugo van der Goes, the first king to present the presents to Jesus is again Melchior, and we can see that he was the one bringing gold. And also with regards to the third king, in Gossard's work, the king with the darkest skin on the left is also identified as Balthasar, so there are some helpful clues to identify them, but they don't apply to all paintings. Some other artists, for example, don't depict them as coming from 3 different parts of the world, but as old, middle-aged, and a young man. So let's do a couple of tests. We start with this work by Gentile da Fabriano. In this case, all 3 kings have the same skin color, but they differ in age. The first one offering the present is usually Melchior, and he is depicted as the oldest of the three. Then, the second one in line is Caspar, who is middle-aged here, and the last in line and the youngest is Balthasar. Albrecht Dürer chose a mix of age, skin color and their presence to identify the three Magi. The first one again is Melchior. He is not only the oldest, but also has his present in a box, which typically is the way to store the gold. And notice, by the way, how eager baby Jesus is to get his present. The one on the right with the darker skin must be Balthasar, and that is confirmed by his young age and the present that he holds, which is a spherical shaped orb, which must contain the mirror. That leaves Caspar as the one in the center, middle-aged and holding the frankincense. The last test is this one by Peter Paul Rubens. He chose to depict three older men, but the order is telling. Melchior is as always the first, and we see his gift of gold behind Jesus. The second in line with a bit darker skin color is Caspar, and the last one then is Balthasar. Bottom line here is to look at the order of the Magi, their age, their skin color and their gifts to see if there are any clues on who is who. As you have seen so far, most of these depictions of the Adoration of the Magi come from the Renaissance and to a lesser extent the Baroque art period. From the 1700s onwards, religious art was less in vogue, but that does not mean that the Magi were forgotten. I would like to finish this video with two wonderful depictions of the three kings. The first one is called Star of Bethlehem, a watercolor painting with stunning blues and greens painted between 1885 and 1890 by the pre-Raphaelite artist Edward Burne-Jones. It shows the usual characters, but also includes an angel holding the Star of Bethlehem. It was the star that guided the Magi to the birthplace of Jesus. Interestingly, the star is often not visible in earlier paintings on this theme, or it is just a minor detail in the busy compositions. You can see, for example, the star on the left side above Jesus and the pink building in the work from 1420 by Lorenzo Monaco, and on the top of this triptych by Hieronymus Bosch, but many others just excluded the star. A final work I would like to show is this painting from 1900 by the American artist G.C. Leyendecker. He omitted Joseph, Mary and Jesus and focuses on the three Magi with their gifts. The king on the left has brought frankincense, the older king in the middle has brought a jar of myrrh oil, and the Egyptian-looking king on the right has brought gold. Well, I would like to thank you for watching and would love to hear from you whether you have any favorite work showing the Adoration of the Magi, even if it is one not shown in this video. I love reading your pics. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe buttons below, and I hope to welcome you to another video soon. And in the meanwhile, I'll show some more paintings of the Adoration of the Magi.